Hi, my name is Mallory Johnson. Here's my ID, and then here is my note card. Alright, so tonight I'm going to be talking about the prison abolishment movement, what it entails, why does it matter, and then what should we be doing as U.S. citizens. So to start, I'm going to include some interesting information about prisons in the U.S. The U.S. has the highest incarceration rate in the world with 25% of the nation's prisoners, while we're only home to 5% of the world's population, according to Jiang Stein's article, Babies Behind Bars. According to the NAACP's Criminal Justice Fact Sheet, Black and brown persons make up 32% of the nation's population, but combined they make up 56% of those incarcerated. And if they were incarcerated at the same rate as white people, jail population would actually decrease by 40%. The U.S. has implemented many tough on crime laws since the 1980s. Since then, there's been a huge increase in incarceration rates, while crime rates have relatively stayed the same. From 1977 to 2007, there's been an 832% increase of women in jail, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. All right, next I'm going to be talking about what prisons solve, or what they really don't solve. So prisons do not fix the problems that they are faced with. They just hide it until it inevitably occurs again. 1 in 4 people who go to jail will be arrested again within the same year, according to prisonpolicy.org's article called Mass Incarceration. Prisons do not act as rehabilitation centers or mental health treatment for the inmates. These people are then released back into the world with the same problems that they went in there with. Also, healthcare in prisons is pretty scary. It is extremely difficult to consult with a doctor. There is also basically no healthcare, no healthy food, and no safe environment for the inmates to live in. They face huge restrictions to getting the most basic healthcare. Prison guards will sometimes keep meds or won't give it to them in the correct context, such as with food or what time of the day, to the inmates. The sexual abuse rates between doctor and inmates is scarily high. And then for pregnant women behind bars, there are only 9 states in the U.S. that have prisons with nurseries. And many of these babies are placed into foster care and away from their mother. So prisons don't prepare inmates for life readjustments after they're released. That's also another contributing factor to high recidivism rates. And there's a cycle of mass incarceration that happens, and also prisons take parents away from their children. And children, when they're growing up, need their parents to show them how to live their life. And a lot of these kids end up in jail too. So, what should be the first step towards the abolishment of prisons? It definitely takes a village to do so. It is a community and government effort. The first thing that should be done is the defunding of the police, the military, and the prisons, as the U.S. funnels millions and millions of dollars into these each year, while actively defunding things such as education and healthcare. Basically, prison abolitionists fight for the funding of education, healthcare, mental health resources, and rehabilitation centers, rather than military, the police, and prisons, because that would actually keep people out of prisons at a much higher rate. And then also, nonviolent crimes such as drug use, sex work, homelessness, and immigration should all be decriminalized, as that would keep many, many people out of jail. So many wonder what our community would look like without prisons. It's not actually that hard to picture. Because a lot of people that live in upper or upper class, middle to upper class neighborhoods They don't have cops roaming the streets constantly like there is in low-income neighborhoods. They also have much more funding that goes towards education, recreational activities such as tennis courts or swimming pools or basketball courts or the arts. And also a lot of these people are, they can afford mental health resources such as therapy or medication, while people in low-income communities cannot afford that type of treatment. And age is also a very big factor in crime. So if we had more recreational activities such as sports and the arts offered to young persons in these low-income neighborhoods, there would be a drastic decrease of people being arrested, because they just wouldn't be in the street. They would be changing their time to sports or arts. And this is what prison abolitionists want for all neighborhoods, not according to their income level. Okay, so next, another popular question is what would happen to all the criminals? So, transformative and restorative justice give people that have broken the law a chance to change their behaviors and to consider the factors that led them to crime, while prisons do not do this. Mental health institutions also are, they need to be reformed drastically because they also, in a way, act as prisons. So mental health institutions definitely need to change. We need to place murderers or rapists in safe locations where they are not able to harm themselves or others. And then also decriminalizing petty crime keeps many people out of prisons. All right, so a call to action. It is our duty as citizens to vote in the political leaders that we believe would best fit for our nation. There's a extremely important upcoming election that we already know of. The nominees are Trump and Biden, who both have conservative backgrounds. Biden even pushed for the war on drugs and was big on tough on crime laws. Since then, he seems to have done a almost 180 change in his reform. He's actually made a lot of promises to reform prisons and police, in the sense that he wants to implement grant programs to push states to invest in programs that prevent and reduce incarceration. He stands for the decriminalization of people who have failed to pay municipal fees or fines, also the federal decriminalization of marijuana. Biden has repeatedly stated that nobody should be incarcerated for drug use alone, and instead should be diverted to drug courts and treatment. He also promises to give $300 million into the community-oriented policing services. Although neither nominee is perfect, Biden seems to support more of the issues that would abolish or reform prisons. Also, it's very important to stay informed. There's an abundance of resources available for free online. And so not only should you educate yourself, but once you have the information, you should also pass on that knowledge to your friends and your family, because there is a world without prisons. It is not a radical movement. It's been around since prisons were even created in the late 1800s. And yeah, people don't deserve to be behind bars for the majority of their life. All right, well, thank you for listening. And don't forget to go out and vote this November.